If you think you've heard every prison story out there, think again. Hit that subscribe button because this one will make you question what really happens behind those cold concrete walls. At exactly 2:13 p.m., the first alarm blared through Red River State Penitentiary, a maximum security prison buried deep in Northern California's fog belt. Inmates froze mid-step. Correctional officers reached for radios, and the faint buzz of conversation vanished under the scream of sirens. Lockdown. The kind that shuts down an entire facility in seconds. Officer Caleb Torres was on the East Block when it started. He'd worked at Red River for 8 years, long enough to know the difference between a fight and a full-blown emergency. This was no fight. He could hear it, something metallic slamming, echoing down the corridors like a drumbeat. Then came the yelling, not anger, panic. In cell block D, Marcus Hale, an inmate serving 25 to life for armed robbery, pressed his face to the bars. He could smell smoke, faint but real, drifting in from the ventilation shaft. "Yo, Torres, something's burning!" By the time Torres reached for his radio, the power went out. The sirens kept wailing, but the lights died. The corridors fell into an eerie blue darkness, emergency backup lights flickering overhead. Inside the control tower, Captain Renee Morgan slammed her hand on the console, trying to reboot the surveillance feed. Every camera read the same thing: signal lost. The prison had gone dark, literally. Within minutes, chaos erupted. Inmates started banging on cell doors, shouting that someone had been stabbed in the yard before the lockdown started. The officers had no visual, no communication, and no way to confirm it. All they knew was that somewhere in the maze of concrete and steel, something had gone terribly wrong. When the backup generators kicked in 20 minutes later, the system screens lit up one by one, each revealing scenes that made seasoned guards hold their breath. In the West Yard, blood streaked across the concrete. 3 inmates were down, 2 were unconscious, 1 was gone, missing. The missing inmate was Eli Barker, a name that carried weight inside Red River, a lifer, known for his silence, his discipline, and his ability to make things happen without saying a word. The kind of man you didn't cross unless you wanted to disappear. The prison command post went into full crisis mode. SWAT was called. The warden, Daniel Prescott, was flown in from Sacramento. Every door was locked, every hallway sealed. No one in, no one out. But as officers swept the West Yard, something didn't add up. There was blood, yes, but it wasn't Eli Barker's. His cell was open. The lock mechanism melted like it had been torched from the inside.
"How the hell does that happen?" Torres whispered. Captain Morgan didn't answer. She just stared at the screen showing cell block D, because there, scrawled in black soot across the wall outside Barker's cell, were 3 chilling words: "Check the basement." And when they forced open the old maintenance door that led underground, what they found made the entire command team freeze. The basement of Red River State Penitentiary wasn't on any current map. The warden himself had to call up archived blueprints from 1979 to confirm it even existed. A forgotten maintenance wing, sealed off decades ago after a flood and declared unsafe. But when the guards pried open that corroded door, the stench that hit them was thick, chemical, and old. Their flashlights cut through the dark, revealing narrow tunnels, rusted pipes, and water dripping from cracked concrete. But it wasn't empty, not anymore. At the far end of the corridor, beneath a flickering emergency bulb, stood a metal table. On it, a collection of items that shouldn't have been there. A walkie-talkie tuned to the prison frequency, a burner cell phone, and 3 neatly folded orange jumpsuits, each one labeled with a number that didn't match any inmate record. And on the wall above it, carved into the concrete, were initials: E.B. Captain Renee Morgan felt her stomach twist. "Barker," she whispered. They hadn't found the missing inmate, but it was clear now that Eli Barker hadn't disappeared in chaos. He'd planned this. When investigators searched deeper, they uncovered something worse. An old ventilation shaft with a metal grate pried loose from the inside. The tunnel beyond led under the main yard, directly towards the administration building, the most secure zone in the facility. It wasn't an escape, it was infiltration. Meanwhile, upstairs, Warden Prescott ordered an emergency lockdown of all external exits and a full staff audit. no one was to leave the grounds until Barker was found. But the more they looked, the more they realized Barker wasn't just missing. He might not have been acting alone. Records show that during the past 6 months, 3 new guards had been quietly transferred in from other facilities. No flags, no misconduct history. But one detail stood out. All 3 had served at prisons where Eli Barker once did time. Coincidence? Prescott didn't think so. Torres was assigned to check the East Corridor surveillance feed, the few cameras that had come back online. At 2:05 p.m., 8 minutes before the lockdown, he spotted something impossible. Eli Barker walking calmly through a restricted corridor, escorted by a uniformed officer, badge number 472. When Torres cross-checked it, that badge didn't exist.
Whoever that officer was, he wasn't on staff. The prison descended into paranoia. Officers began questioning each other. Rumors spread that Barker had paid off guards, that someone inside wanted him out, or worse, wanted someone else in. By midnight, SWAT teams had combed every tunnel, every cell, every ventilation shaft. But the trail went cold near the administrative elevator, the one that only senior officials could access. Captain Morgan confronted the warden directly. "Sir, someone with clearance helped him. Maybe even someone sitting in this room." Prescott glared back. "You're out of line." But before anyone could respond, the prison lights flickered and the emergency intercom crackled to life. A voice came through, distorted, but unmistakably calm. "You locked down the wrong man." Every screen in the control room flashed to static. Then the feeds returned, showing cell block D again. In Eli Barker's cell, someone was sitting on his bunk. But it wasn't Barker. It was Officer Caleb Torres. His hands were tied behind his back, and on the wall behind him, written in red marker, were the same 3 words as before. "Check the basement." Only this time, there was a 4th word added underneath. Again. The command center erupted as the live feed showed Officer Caleb Torres bound in Barker's cell. Captain Renee Morgan's face went pale. "Get me a response team and D-block now," she ordered. But every attempt to open the electronic doors failed. The system was locked from the inside. The control panels displayed a new message no one had ever seen before. "Access restricted. Warden override." Warden Prescott froze. "That's impossible," he muttered. But the staff could see it in his eyes, something he wasn't telling them. The SWAT team forced their way through manually, cutting the security bolts with torches. When they finally broke into cell block D, the cell was empty. No Torres, no blood, just silence, and a small flash drive left on the floor beneath the bunk. Morgan snatched it up and raced to the command room. The moment they plugged it into the system, a folder popped open, labeled simply, "The Lockdown Files." Inside were hundreds of hidden reports, surveillance clips, internal memos, and classified communications between the warden's office and a private defense contractor. The documents exposed something horrifying. For months, Red River had been running an off-the-record behavioral experiment. Certain inmates, including Eli Barker, were being subjected to unauthorized isolation protocols designed to measure human compliance under extreme deprivation. In exchange, the prison received funding through a covert federal program tied to prison tech development. But Barker had found out. He'd been part of the experiment, a test subject turned informant. And instead of breaking, he planned his revenge from the inside.
The missing guard ID, the burned lock, the fake officers, all part of his plan to expose the operation. The basement wasn't just a hiding place. It was the original testing site, where the first human trials took place. As the team scrolled through the files, they found something else. Time-stamped security footage from the day before the lockdown. It showed Barker meeting privately in the warden's office. No restraints, no guards, just Barker and Prescott shaking hands. Captain Morgan turned to him, disbelief in her eyes. "You cut a deal with him, didn't you?" The warden's voice cracked. "It wasn't supposed to go this far. He said he just wanted out." "But what did he give you in return?" Before Prescott could answer, every light in the room flickered, then shut off completely. A second later, the prison's PA system crackled to life again. Barker's voice echoed through every corridor. Calm, cold, controlled. You wanted to study control. Now, you're living it. Every cell door slammed shut at once. The lockdown was complete. This time, no one outside could override it. The entire prison was sealed. Hours later, when state authorities finally regained entry, they found the control room abandoned, computers still humming, the flash drive still plugged in. But the warden, Captain Morgan, and all 15 staff members who'd been inside were gone. No trace. The final camera footage ever recovered from Red River system showed a figure walking alone through the fog toward the outer gate, a man in an officer's uniform, carrying a duffel bag. The name tag read, C. Torres. He looked straight into the camera and smiled. Then the feed cut out. The prison reopened 6 months later under new management, but to this day, no one knows what really happened during those missing hours, or how Barker's experiment files vanished from federal custody. And every October 2nd, the date of the lockdown, guards swear they still hear the old siren wail for a few seconds, right before lights out. But the system logs always say the same thing. Manual test, user, E. Barker. If you think this story was intense, you're not ready for the next one. Hit subscribe before the next lockdown begins.